What's up? All right, so I got Fat Jesus with me today. Today we're
What's up,
going to be
everybody?
talking about this book right here, The Book of Giants by Joseph Lumpkin. We just
What's
did
up, Giants?
we just did the Book of Enoch a few days ago. So and that was the same author too, Joseph Lumpkin. So,
Giants.
this right here is basically the bread and butter, what I like to say. So let me ask you, you haven't read this book, which is a great thing because I say
I've seen it around. I've seen
no,
that
no,
thing
no. I'm
around.
saying you just haven't read it, so it's a good thing
Oh,
because most of the audience, a lot of people haven't read this book. They talk about giants a lot, and the reason why is because they read the Bible, they read the Hebrew text, they hear about the Native American skeletons that they found that were giants. People know about giants, but they haven't read what the ancient texts actually talk about when it comes to the giants, like the Book of Enoch, the Watchers, all the Nephilim, the fallen angels, whatever you want to call them. Nobody has read the ancient text that actually pertains to them. So when you read the actual ancient text that pertains to them, you can actually see how there can be like 200 different narratives. But then when you start picking apart the words and the meaning that it meant at that time frame, you can knock
how
that
how
down to
old?
others.
How old are these ancient texts,
Well,
though?
nobody ever gives a really good date. I don't really like giving dates.
But get give
Okay,
some
so
around about like 8,000 years, 10,000 years, one
so
million
it's
years.
different because everybody calls them different. So when it comes to angels, that's mostly like Hebrew or Aramaic, Babylonian, Chaldean time frame, which can be up to about 1,500 years ago, depending on the time frame. Because see, the thing is that it goes Babylonian, it goes Chaldean. The only reason why I don't like giving dates is because I actually have an 1873 Bible. I know it was the Sumerians, the Akkadians, and then you have between the Sumerians and the Egyptians. They say the Sumerians came first, but the Egyptians did. Now I got a book right here about the Ubadians that came before the Sumerians, that had pottery before the Sumerians did, but a lot of people credit pottery to the Sumerians. So I don't personally like giving dates. I like people to go
But
look
a
those dates up
thousand
themselves.
years is just around the bend. I mean, I could
Yeah, but see,
date
that's the
back
thing. It
my
depends on
my
what you call
genetics
it.
to 4,000 years. I mean,
It it depends on what you call it though, because some people will call them angels, someone will call them fallen, some of them will call them demons. A demon can be an angel. The whole point of an angel is the whole thing is that it's a messenger. That's all it is. So this, whatever time frame you want to go as far as a messenger, you know what I'm saying. I mean, you can go back, but what I like to do is I like to tell people, okay, go get this book and understand why this book gives this time frame. It's a quick search. Anybody can look up the Book of Enoch. They can look up the Bible. Some people will say their Bible is the King James version, but forget that there's a Geneva version. But then forget there's a Septuagint. Then they forget that there's a Hebrew and Aramaic. And then they forget there's pictographic script. And then they forget that there's, just mythology, traditional oral stories with nothing written down. So dates for me don't really apply to this. I'm going to go over dates on here on what he talks about. But me personally, I don't like
who's the
Joseph
author?
Lumpkin. Joseph Lumpkin.
Oh, okay.
Joseph Lumpkin. Yep. He's see, so all right, this perfect example. So I'll just read this part. Because a lot of this stuff is a lot of this stuff, a lot of people like to reference the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's like the bread and butter for everything for some reason. So I'll give you an example. In his introduction, he says the discovery of the first Dead Sea Scrolls in a remote Judean desert cave in 1947 is considered one of the greatest archaeological events of the 20th century. That's what he says. Okay. So he's automatically talking about, a time frame, the Dead Sea Scrolls. You know what I'm saying? And the Dead Sea Scrolls is so it's funny on those dates because they don't really give a precise date too. Because look, let me give you another example. The mention of the Enoch in the storyline referencing the patriarch places the Book of Giants firmly in the list of Enochian texts along the one Enoch, two Enoch, and three Enoch. Remember when we was talking about the Book of Enoch and how there was three different versions of it? Remember that? That's what he talks about this in his. Of course, he's talking about it because this is his book. He's actually going to talk about it. So for Joseph Lumpkin, the reason why I got his book is because a lot of people have recommended his book from other places. One of the things I want to
He, by the way, he has a doctorate degree in the from the Battlefield Baptist Institute.
we'll talk about him real quick.
Yeah.
Tell us what you tell us what you researched real quick. Because I was
so
the dates on the Dead Sea Scrolls and all that stuff, like the precise dates that they say, but just talk about that, and I'll give you the dates for everything that I have that I can find in his books and what he talks about and stuff.
Well, he has a diverse profession and background in the defense and technology, U.S. Department of Defense himself. So, and he done his research on this, and I believe this is what he enjoys in writing this book about. But the thing is that with giants, man, with the mythological thought on giants, this is something historical. And when we talk about something mythological, we're talking about stories that are handed down from generation to generation. And what and some people just tend to dismiss these things and say, "Oh, they're just stories," or people just say, "Well, people just sing about this stuff, and it don't matter today. Is this going to pay for my bills or something like that?" People dismiss these things, but we take these things serious on this podcast because this is stuff that's handed down from generation to generation, and they have some truth behind it, and that's why we bring it up. And we believe that these things come from some kind of facts, and that's why this person right here of importance that probably is no longer with us today, and has left a serious book, about a historical book of interest that we need to go over, and we have to talk about it. And other podcasts have talked about it before in the past too. um and go ahead if you have some more things to say about it.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, so when it comes to dates, like when I was talking about the Sumerians and the Egyptians having around the same time frame, and they just separated and stuff by certain criteria. Mostly, some people say writing. So the Book of Enoch, anywhere from the 4th or 3rd century BCE. I just wanted to verify all that stuff because you remember I had the slideshow from last time, and so they give some dates around there, and then you got the Dead Sea Scrolls, which is around 250 BCE. So that's very close. But how do you dictate that something happened at precisely this time when there's always a give or take, plus or minus? So when they say 250 BC and then fourth century BCE, or like the Book of Giants, I haven't got to where he talks about the dates on here yet, but I pulled it up just to see what it would be compared to what this book is, because like I said, everybody has their different dates. This one right here actually says the composition likely around late 3rd century BCE. So I'll be able to see what Joseph Lumpkin would say. They say late this, they say mid this, and I want to show that because of the simple fact that how do you precisely say this time? So all these texts were literally probably around the same time.
Yeah, pre-flood era he pretty much talked about.
So I don't
3500 BCE he was saying.
Yeah, we about to find out exactly what dates he says. I could probably
that's a long time ago.
No, it is a long time ago, but the point is that it doesn't mean that that's the overall best source. There may be better, it might be the best source right now, but that just depends on who you talk to, because you have so many different stories about floods.
Well, with today's technology that we have, because with newer discoveries, newer archaeological facts that we're finding today, And these are actually ministries that go out. They have archaeologists in church, because there are Baptist universities, out there. They have archaeologists that go out and they search for Noah's Ark, and they search for these areas in Turkey and in Egypt, and they search for the truth that connects with the Bible. And they do all these footwork out there too, and then they're always updating the location of Jesus' burial and all this stuff, and they try to prove it themselves as well. They try to add a physical location to their stories.
Okay, so this is important. So this is something he says for this book. He says there have been many attempts to reconstruct the sequence and content of the Aramaic Book of Giants. There are instances where the various sequences of events are unclear. I generally follow Stuckenbrook's sequence of events. Since the text is so fragmented and at times not fully comprehensible, it's best to first present an overall flow or meaning of the storyline. We will now explore the story presented in the Book of Giants. So this is actually ancient text, bro. Like, this is what I'm saying, is that you have to actually, if you're going to talk about anything, honestly, if you're going to talk about anything, I think, me personally, I think it's only wise to talk about what the actual text say, meaning that we have a book, or not a book, we have books, right, that are actually known as the primary source, right? We have books that are the primary source. If you go outside of that primary source, you're just starting to make things up, right? Or you see things in the other limelight, but others people might not like. But what I like is that he actually says right here, because this is the first tab that I'm going to go over. He says right here, the Aramaic version of the Book of Giants. Okay, so to me, that's important, just for the simple fact that he's telling you where he's getting his information from. Now, most people should know this. When it comes to God, the monotheistic God, Abrahamic faith,
And he talks about Nephilims as well.
Yeah, that's what. It says the Watchers Nephilim in the Book of Enoch.
and people don't know what Watchers and Nephilim.
And I'm going to go over that too. That's why I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over the actual meaning. Remember what I said, that,
or even what Enoch is. Some of our viewers don't even know what that is.
And they can watch they can watch the discussion from the live before this one. But the point is that
I think we have so many podcasts. We might have to start putting episodes on there.
Nah, I'm not going to do that, man. People, I see people label theirs all the way up to like 500, 600, 700.
500. Yeah. Episode 562. Yeah. I got white hair today.
Yeah, I ain't worried about that. But I think it's important because, like I said earlier, in order to understand this book, you have to understand the words itself. So when you hear stuff like Watchers, or I don't know, angels, and you don't understand what it really means, you can come up with any kind of narrative. But if you understand what it means, there's only one narrative for it, right? So that's it. So we know that for part of his storyline for the Book of Giants is he goes to the Aramaic version. So I mean, that's why I tell the people they gotta understand. I mean, so one of the first things you'll probably read is you'll read something like there were 200 watchers who descended. They were grouped like soldiers with a leader for each team of 10. There were 20 leaders for the total of 200 watchers. And then they give the names of them. And one of the name is the name Barquel. Barak El means lightning of God, which is fitting since it has been said that Barakel taught men astrology during the days of Jared or Yerod, because J and Y, the whole thing with J hasn't came around to like 15 something hundred or whatever, or something like that. I can't remember. But anyway, the point is they call them Watchers. So let me ask you, what do you know about Watchers?
All I know about watchers is they watch.
No,
That's the obvious. That's the obvious word from it. They can't. Watchers cannot intervene with humanity, is what I've heard. That they just watch from afar, and they can't do anything to change the course of humanity, which sucks because humanity needs a lot of help, throughout their growth. Um, Hence where the Nephilims jump in and and change everything. So we have the Watchers, which watch, and then the Nephilims are the ones that jump in and started teaching stuff. Am I right on that?
yeah, well, you remember from the book of Enoch, because this is the same person that wrote the book of Enoch. How I explained it. One person teaching somebody astrology, that doesn't mean they have to be a giant or some god or some kind of individual that came out of space and came to planet Earth. All it takes is somebody being outside looking at the sky constantly, right? So if you have insomnia and you can't sleep at night, and you got about, I don't know, the whole tribe is sleeping at night and you're up on guard and you're watching the stars, whatever you say happens at night, 9 times out of 10, those people who are sleeping are going to believe what you say. Mythology started from the stars. A lot of it. Not all of it, but a lot of it did. That's why they
But who,
reference.
who said that they're the Watchers? Like, here's the thing: if a Watcher can't interfere, then who gave them up?
But
Like
that's the
like
thing, they can
a
interfere
watcher
though.
can't come in and say, "Oh, I'm a watcher. I'm watching you." Now they're interfering.
They interfered with man. They taught man.
How do you know that? Maybe the
Because
Nephilims
what
gave
did I
them
just
up.
say? What did I just say? Barak L, one of the watchers, taught men astrology.
Mm.
That's one of the watchers. The lightning of God. Lightning of God. Him. Now, this is the other
Is that
interesting
is
part.
that is that is that breaking protocol?
Well, yeah. No,
Oh
no,
shit!
but it
That's
depends on
where
it.
humanity went backward.
Well, it depends. It depends on what
That's how
people
we
say.
start that's how we start defying our leaders, right?
Yeah, it depends on how you
It's
look
the
at it.
snake. That's the snake in Eden.
Because does it really? I have to double check and see what the wording says. But does God actually say do not interfere with humans, or
Yeah.
does he? I don't think he
The
does, because
what it's the growth of humans is pretty much is the interference, because when it comes to if we were to let's use us as an example. If we go to a planet and we have let's say a race of Neanderthals that we run into on another planet, and we're the advanced species, what who are we, what gods are we to interfere with a bunch of Neanderthals that are evolving? And our regulations, our laws are to not interfere with the growth of that species, but to watch them, to learn from them. But if we interfere with them, they may become aggressive or learn at a speed where they start attacking us or steal from us, take our technology. You know what I'm saying? Use our technology against us or against each other, kill each other. They might even kill themselves to extinction. They take our technology and use it against each other to the point where they create an extinction level where they don't exist anymore. That could be a huge danger. We cause that on that planet. So that is, I mean, we are delicate. We are a very delicate species on Earth. So an
no,
alien
I have to
race that comes
disagree
to
with that,
Earth.
bro. We ain't delicate, bro. We have survived some shit that people would be shocked about.
No, no, I'm
Volcanoes.
talking about alien technology,
Well,
bringing
see,
alien
that's
technology
the
to Earth.
that's the thing. Uh, People believe that, but you don't. Why? Humans have looked at the sky for so long. You don't need to have somebody come from outer space to tell you that the sun moves from this spot to that spot, and the moon
Here's
moves from
here's
that
a
spot to that spot. It
good
just takes somebody.
example.
Hell, I could tell you when I was a little kid, I had a lot of these same questions that these mythologies were talking about, and I'm sure plenty of other people have. When you was a little kid, have you ever thought that there's life on those other planets that they taught us in school? Have you ever just said, I wonder if there's life out there?
Mhm.
Have you ever thought that?
I always thought
Okay,
about
so
that.
that's nothing new. That's humans. When you see something outside, you wonder what it is on that other side. When you see land, you wonder what that land is on that other side. You figure out how to get there. Humans have been doing that forever. That's why I say when I talked about the Book of Enoch, when people talk about extraterrestrials and this and that, I'm like, where do you get this from? And they say, well, they came from the heavens. And I said, the heavens, as far as what? Does it say outside of Earth's atmosphere, or do they say in the mountains or high in the sky? And I'm telling you, when you look at the kings and the people who were in control of the other individuals, the whatever you want to call them, the the kings, I'm going to keep it very simple. They sat on top of mountains. They didn't their land
Yeah,
wasn't with
that's true.
regular people.
Yeah. Mhm.
So when people said, oh, the gods came from the heavens, or the angels came from the heavens, that's very easily explainable. You don't have to think extraterrestrial. It's like Mount Olympus with the Greeks. Their gods were on top of the mountains.
And
This
we
is a lot.
mentioned the ark. The
Um,
ark that what
the
that
ark that landed on top of the mountain. Every
No, I
time.
meant the ark, the box that if anyone touches it, they disintegrate.
Oh, I mean that, but see that art can mean anything though. That's a whole nother rabbit hole people can go down. Art can literally
I
mean
mean,
anything.
I'm just mentioning technologies that is beyond human comprehension.
How's it under beyond
I
human
mean, we're talking about
comprehension?
radiation. We're talking about something that humans can't handle because they don't have the scientific knowledge or understanding.
No, they
We're
definitely
talking
did.
about
They
a
definitely.
box that powers the pyramids.
Now, see,
You
now
know,
you're going away from the Book of Giants and you're going to the pyramids. That's why I said we do.
what built the pyramids? That's what I'm. That's why we're talking about giants.
Yeah, but see that's why I'm very glad you said that, because this is very important. Let's break it down simple. How tall is a giant to you?
Well, I'm talking about giants that probably
No, no,
came
no,
from
no, no, no.
space.
From what you know, just give me a roundabout. How tall are giants to you?
Um. Well. Um. You mean like?
No, tell me how tall they are. That's if I ask you how tall are
Okay.
you, tell
Okay.
me how tall
Okay.
you are.
I'm gonna say giants are around 8 to 9 feet.
Okay, 8 to 9 feet. Okay, that's what based off what information that you have.
NASA. Like
Okay,
we're talking
NASA.
about how a giant can, like human being can survive on planet Earth by the gravitational force, and they done
Okay,
studies up in space
okay.
and
So
due to gravity. Now, if a human being lived in space, a human being can actually grow larger and be like 10 feet because there's no gravity up there.
well, we don't know that because we don't have any humans living out there, so we can't
Well,
verify that.
scientifically, yeah, they can.
I wouldn't know that. I'm not. I would need somebody to do the crank the math in front of me on that. But what I'm saying, okay, I'm glad you said that, because when you read the King James version, Goliath is usually around 6 cubits in a span. That's about 8 to 9 feet, 7 to 8, 9 feet, depending around there, somewhere around that type. That's the King James version. Remember, I told you there's a different versions of it. Geneva version. You got the NIV. You got the Septuagint. You got all these other books in front of it. The Septuagint actually says 4 cubits in the span, so it's shorter than 7, 8, 9 feet. Okay, so this is what the actual Greeks say about Goliath. Is about 4 cubits, or at least one of the translations that I have says 4 cubits in a span, which is actually anywhere from 6 to 8 feet. That's a giant. That's what people say. All right. My favorite basketball player was Shaquille O'Neal. I look at him, I'm going to consider him a giant. I'm 5'8". So when people talk about giants, I really wonder what time frame and where you're getting your information from. Because remember, in the book of Enoch, I said that in the book of Enoch, it describes them almost as tall as buildings. Okay. But we don't know exactly how tall these giants were, because the book of Enoch was written at a certain time frame, and it's broken up, and it was written over a certain long period of time. It's not one book, it's many books piled into one. But the point is that
they were looking at him at a distance too, as well. They weren't like they had a tape measure and say,
but let's stick to the facts. Let's just stick to the facts. We don't have to go extraterrestrials. We don't have to go
make a suit for you. Oh, here you go. Yeah. They were looking at him at a distance. As, dude, that giant, they could have built a dollhouse next to the giant. Say, whoa, this giant is huge. And it's actually a 6-foot human. They just pretended they built a dollhouse and say, dude, this guy is huge. And it's actually a dollhouse next to a human that's only 5 foot tall, and made him to look like a giant just to scare everybody, Maybe they're just using depth perception or something, just to scare the other side.
But see, this is the thing. This is, if you listen, because you join the spaces that I used to join. So I don't join. I joined spaces to promote my book, and that's how I made bestseller. I don't know. I got into a lot of arguments on X about people and their information and stuff like that. But I will say this. A lot of people will say the Watchers, the Nephilim, and the Giants were one and the same. That's what people say, right? Is that something you agree with?
Yeah.
Okay, so that on this same page that I was just reading, it says right here, the Watchers were in prison. They told the Giants they could not win the coming battle. The Giants would be defeated. The Watchers.
Why were they in prison?
Well, they had because the whole thing where the Watchers. That's why I'm glad you asked that. The Watchers are the ones that came from, descended to Earth. The 200 Watchers. That's what they say, right? But they also call them fallen angels, right? Right? Those supposed to be this one and the same. Right. Those are the ones that
now the plot thickens. The fallen angels. Okay, let's go.
That's always been the thing. That's always been the thing. The 200 fallen angels and the 200. It's just what words you use for the time frame that matters. So the Watchers and the fallen angels are one and the same, because you have the 200 Watchers who descended, and then you have
they got a job. It's angels. Like everybody these days they call fallen angels evil demons, horns, and they got bat wings and and all of a sudden now they're Watchers. They're like intelligent, and they got some kind of job now.
Well, that's why I'm about to get into
with a suit.
That's why I'm about to get into the actual words. That's why I'm actually about to get into the actual meaning in a second, because you bring up a great point that that's what people think, and that's probably what you think too. But I'm telling you,
I'm with everybody else. I'm going with the flow.
See, that's something that I can't do. I have to understand what the weird. So the Watchers and the Giants were two different individuals. Okay, It says actually one of them right here, Gilgamesh, one of the giants, proclaimed that despite the great strength and courage in his ability to kill any human, he had been unable to prevail in a war against a number of heavenly beings called archangels. He lamented that he had no hope for surviving a full-on battle with them. So he had a battle with archangels. Okay. Now this is where it comes into interesting. So I'm going to bring this up now because this is the perfect time to bring it up. So what I like to do, and I always tell everybody, if you want to know what these actual words mean, you got to know where to look. Okay. So right here, this is actually called the Strong's Concordance. This is from the Bible Hub, though.
Okay.
And this is so when you type in Watcher or angel, and I'll show you angel in a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
But if you type in Watchers, this was what will come up right here. So these are one and the same right here, right? Angel Watcher 5894. That's the Strong Concordance number. Watchers, Aramaic, from a root corresponding to awake. So let's click on this real quick. to arouse, to awaken, to stir up, to incite. So that's what a watcher or an angel is. Okay, it's to rouse, to awaken, to stir up, to incite. But to awaken means what in today's words that people don't like? Stop being woke. So if you're an angel or a watcher,
so any of us podcasters could be a watcher, huh? Oh no!
I mean, look, awake, arouse, arouse, stir.
I'm gonna get canceled really fast now.
Through the idea of opening.
Are you trying to get us canceled?
I mean, look. I mean, it's all right here. It's all right here. To wake, literally, figuratively.
You trying to advertise us, bro?
I mean, that's what it is. So when I hear people say, "Oh, they're too woke," and then I see Christian in their Bible, I'm like, dang. You don't know what you're talking about right now, because first of all, we go to the beginning of what the word woke means, but
how many times are they gonna write the word awake?
That's what I'm saying.
Exalted, lifted. Oh my gosh, there's so many songs written in all those words: exalted, awaken.
Yeah, so
every other way. Yeah,
I mean, waking or wakeful one. I mean, this is what a watcher or watchers are. That's what it is. Okay. And it's a noun masculine word. Okay?
And I sung these songs as a child growing up. So, it's embedded in my head, actually, as a child, to sing these over and over again.
Now let me show you what an angel is. Let me see. So you come here. Okay. An angel. When you look for angel. Hold on, let's see. That's not the one. Hold on. Because it has different ways of doing it. I have to do it this way. So anyway, but I have a strong concordance book in my library. I should start bringing it because I use it a lot.
But Lord, the stream is going to be 3 hours long.
No, it's not.
Flip through pages.
No, it's not. Not even close. Hour and a half. So this, I hate having to do it this way. But this is what angel is. So you type in angel, tells you.
I'm just messing with them.
Different ways. But look, messenger.
Yeah.
Messenger.
The messenger of God.
A messenger, especially an angel of God, of evil, Satan, or demon. So an angel can literally be a demon.
Well, that's what Lucifer was the archangel, and Lucifer is an angel, and King what's his name? Is this King Samson? Is that what's his name? Yeah, he was summoning these angels, which were fallen angels, and trying to control them, and using the fallen angels here on earth. That's how he gained his powers. That's how he was gaining all these kingdoms all over in Africa, and how he gained everything. And this was all the way in the past. All that wisdom he had, it was insane. And he lost it all eventually. But I mean, all that power he had. But that's nor here and there. We don't know a whole lot about it, or even if it was real. But the thing is that it's written. There has to be some reality behind it, right?
Yeah. So this is another point.
Was he a giant?
Who?
Was it King Samson or King? What was I keep forgetting the name. The one that was using wizards and
bro,
was writing.
When you say that, there's gonna be so many people that pop up to mind.
It was really old. We're talking about in that era, man. It was pre Noah. It was pre Noah, isn't it? Or after? It was the building of the Tower of Babel.
You talking about Nimrod?
Before Nimrod? Was it before Nimrod?
Bro, I have no idea who you talking
Oh,
about.
but anyways, I know that there was talks about other people were talking about there were giants before that, and that's why I got into this podcast
Well,
because
The Bible says, the Bible literally says the giants before and after the flood. So there were giants. Obviously, but the Bible does say that specifically, that there were giants before and after. The whole reason
what
why.
bothers me is that we're not finding archaeological finds
Oh
of
yes, they
giants.
have. They definitely have. Matter of fact, when I was
Why
in
are they
Tennessee,
not showing them?
they have. You can go right now if you want to. I forgot where is it at exactly. I wrote it down. I was actually at a Native American. I was in Tennessee, in Kentucky, over the last few days, and I did some filming and videos up
Because
there. Most of the stuff.
whenever I Google right now, they say there's no proof.
Yeah, there is. You can actually go to museums. Like I said, I went to this Native American museum. This guy and this couple came there, and the guy that was in the volunteer of the museum, they were talking about how you can go to, man, I can't remember. It's in Illinois somewhere. I wrote it down in my book. But anyway, she was telling me that they were saying something about that. They have a museum up there that actually has skeleton bones about 8-9 feet in Illinois. Native Americans.
Now everybody Rebirth does boots on the ground. He travels all over the United States, and
where's it at.
and the problem is that Google and AI doesn't really give you the whole truth, and you actually have to like beat down on Google AI to find the truth. But AI doesn't really give you the truth in reality until you go there physically and see the truth.
Yeah, here we go.
That's the bad news about AI these days. Unless you go there yourself, then you see it for yourself. But honestly, it's hard to know if the truth is really the truth unless you really are there. Um and somehow, some way, nobody there's a lot of gatekeeping on, let's say, for instance, Bigfoot. Aliens is a good example because there's a lot of disclosure on that, and there's a lot of things in life now that we're becoming aware that is real, and one of the good examples, UFO. And so here we are talking about giants, and here that's probably going to be undisclosed right there too eventually. So that's why we're talking about it now before that comes to light itself. So Rebirth has actually gone to the museums and seen these bones.
No, I ain't seen the bones. I ain't
Oh,
seen
you
the
haven't
bones.
seen it? You're gonna go
No,
see them.
no,
Somebody has
yeah, I'm
told her.
gonna. Yeah, some lady says something
My
about
apologies.
they don't actually have the bones on display, but they have like the pictures of something. I can't remember exactly what she said, but she says there's burial mounds all around there. They actually have like plaques. When I was telling you about that app that I like to use, Explore Here, with all the historical markers.
Are they trying to hide these? Like,
No, that's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Listen, man, she says they literally have plaques that talk about this stuff. People just don't know about it because they don't know to go there. I can't remember where it is exactly. Like I said, I would have to go to my truck. It's in my truck because I left my notepad out there. But she was telling me that like those little historical markers that I was telling you about, they literally have how tall the bones were and and how big the bones were, how tall the bones were. She literally said they're in Illinois. She said you can't miss them. She said because there's so many burial mounds up there. I actually have the guy's phone number too in my book from that museum, so I can call him up and ask him exactly what it is. But I wrote
not
that.
to deny what you're saying, but
I don't know if it's a museum or it's just a place.
Stories that the Smithsonian, excuse me, it's like a double word tongue twister, goes around collecting them, then gatekeeping.
Yeah, she said that too. She said, yeah, she's her and her husband.
Right about this.
Now, see, this is the thing. I told her about our show, and this is the lady I was telling you about when I called you. This is the same lady I was telling you about. I was telling her we were doing a show about giants today. Her husband is an engineer, and they travel the world or not the world. I'm not sure the world, but the Americas with their uh, um, uh, attached. It's not an RV, but what are those things called again? I forgot, man. I can't remember.
Yeah. It's a trailer.
Yeah, trailer.
RV.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
had.
I love to do that. That's what I want to do.
They go around with their 2 dogs traveling, and she was telling me about it. We was having, matter of fact, we was talking about Edgar Casey because I went to go see Edgar Casey's grave.
Nice, yeah.
So,
Edgar Casey actually was born in, what did you say, in Tennessee?
Kentucky.
In Kentucky, but he ended up with a house in Virginia Beach. I'm over here in Virginia Beach, and they have this whole, he has an acre of land, a couple acres of lands over here. So
yeah, like she said, it was a plaque. So I mean, they're obviously not hiding it. They might not be putting it in museums, but let's just be honest. Putting somebody's bones in museums, I think that's disrespectful in the first place. You know what I'm saying? You buried somebody. You know, I don't want somebody digging me up 1,000 years and putting my body in a damn museum. You know what I mean? Let me rest where I'm at. So, I mean, there could be a lot of reasons why they do that. So when people say, oh, why are they hiding? They're not hiding it. I mean, a lot of times, like I said, when people talk about the Book of Giants and they talk about giants and this, that, and the third, do they really know what they're talking about? Have they read any translations of the Book of Giants? Probably not. They're going off what other people say. And because some people want to believe things, guess what they do? They tend to run and follow the pack together. So the next tab I put up was the
what if space aliens are giants? What if they really do exist?
But see, that's the thing. See, now you're going into away from the Book of Giants. But let me answer.
What if they do exist and they don't want people to know?
You can create always what ifs. You can always
no. I'm saying that if they didn't want people to know, that's probably a good reason, right?
No. I'm going to explain that. Think about it. You said aliens could be giants, or extraterrestrials can be giants. But when you read books about aliens and extraterrestrials, they're no taller than 3-4 feet tall. So those what ifs, you're going away from what is actually described by people when they see them, or people who say they see them. So now you're creating a what if on top of a what if, and that's you're creating.
How do we? Okay. How do we paint giants? We paint them like dumb Neanderthals.
No, don't say we.
We're gonna chop you up with a sword.
That's probably how you see them.
We don't paint them as intelligent beings.
Yes, we do. This is the thing. Do you think do you think in the 90s where we was as intelligent as we are now in 2026?
I think we're getting dumber. I'm really think we're getting dumber.
Okay, so you think that all the technology and all the stuff we have, we're getting dumber, or is it that you might be getting dumber?
AI is getting smarter, and we're getting dumber.
See, that's the thing that I disagree.
We're going into a downward spiral. Intelligence.
I think that's ignorant, and I say that for the simple fact that look at what we're.
That's for another podcast. That's for
no. I want to bring that up because you said you brought this up, so I want to explain this.
I know our viewers are gonna want that in the future.
We could talk about that, but I want to make it known that people say we're dumber, but we're progressively getting better with everything that we're doing. A lot.
I mean, we're creating technology, but I think we're the masses of people are actually they're like my memory is going out on me because I need technology to help me remember words.
That's because in order to remember the words, you have to remember what technology to use for those words. So you have to know how to use AI. This is the thing. Every technology has never made us dumber. It just made some people lazy. Being lazy doesn't make you dumb. It just means you're lazy. That's why I tell people they actually have to read. Like you talking about aliens and extraterrestrials.
I just saw a movie just like that. It's called Idiocracy. They made a movie called Idiocracy, and it was exactly that, where people got lazy.
Now you see how you spent your time. You see how you spent your time. You spent your time watching a movie when you could have been teaching yourself something.
But
That's the late.
but
That's
movies
the.
are made from books too. So
But see, that's where I
a
say that you
writer
have to.
wrote it. A
So
writer
that's
wrote it.
why I
He
said
wrote a script, and he created a visual interpretation of that writing.
you have to actually go and read the sources for yourself. Because now this person is creating something visual for you to see. And that's going to be ingrained in your mind more than anything else. That's why a lot of people, I was just talking about this the other day. A lot of people give credit to Graham Hancock.
That's the same thing as this podcast. People are watching us.
Well, see that, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because guess what? Most of my audience doesn't come from YouTube. You know where most of my audience comes from? Spotify.
Yeah.
So people are usually listen to me while they're truck driving. You know why? Because I do most of my promoting to truck drivers.
To Uber all drivers, those truck drivers out there, we
Uber
love you.
Drivers. I promote my stuff.
I used to be a truck driver.
I promote to people who are on the road a lot, so they can't watch my stuff. And if they're interested in it later, they can be like, "Oh, I'm going to go back and watch it again, see exactly what he was talking about here," and they can see the video format. My whole point is that when you say what ifs, when I hear people say what ifs, they're not trying to follow the source. That's the problem I have with people. I'm not saying Joseph Lumpkin is the go-to source. What I'm saying is, have you ever read any version of the translation of the Giants? In order to have an intellectual conversation about the Giants, you have to go to the sources first. Mm-hmm. You can't go to some YouTuber who's famous, who spent 5-10 grand on his streaming stuff so he can get famous and reach millions of followers, because that's usually what happens. It takes money to make money. You're not going to come into the YouTube world or any streaming world and reach millions of people. And that's where a lot of people try to reach. And that takes money. That takes a lot of money to do that. But a lot of people take that money to do that, but they don't take the money to buy these books, or they don't even take the time to go to the free versions online. They have free versions of this stuff online. Older versions, actually, and you can see the difference. Of course, translations will change over time because words will be better understood. There'll be a more understandable understanding of each word. But my point is that, like I showed you who the Watchers were. The Watchers and Giants were two different individuals, according to this version of the Book of the Giants. But a lot of people will place them in the same category. Okay. Gilgamesh actually had a war with the Watchers. Okay. So, but if you know anything about Gilgamesh was no better than the Watchers, because he was supposedly known as a giant too. Why? Because they depict him as one, holding two lions. But that can just be a representation.
He had a responsibility over humans.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. That was
he was a ruler.
He wasn't a ruler. He was a menace to society. That's who he was. He wasn't. Gilgamesh wasn't somebody to look up to. Anybody that looks up to Gilgamesh, you might want to question that person. Anybody that says Gilgamesh was on the right on anything.
What was he, a narcissist? That's pretty much
so basically, before you got married to your wife, he would have to have sexual relationships with them first.
Oh, so that's where the hybrids came from?
No, that's where we got. No. Don't even go to that route. It's just that's what it is. That's what he was. That's what he was. He was a menace to. You could not. If he found your wife, beautiful enough to have sexual relationships with, then you couldn't do it. You would have to wait. So, and he did that to a lot of men. That's one of the main reasons why a lot of people went to go find Enkidu. So, and we talked about this. Me and you talked about this. So, I mean, remember that? Yeah. So it's just crazy. So, but he was considered a giant. He was depicted as a giant because people would say that he was depicted because he's holding. lions.
Anybody that's over 6 foot tall is taller than me. So they're kind of like giants, right?
But it's just the point that it's just a simple point of how tall is somebody? How tall is a giant? A lot of people we know back in the Book of Enoch era time frame, there weren't giants as tall as buildings. We already know that. We know that. Okay, there will be.
Freaking huge, man. That'd be insane. If there was a house fire, that would be great. People can just crawl down, just crawl down a person. They just reach up and hey, come down, I'll save you.
So here's
But
a
here's the deal. Here's the deal. Now, let me bring this up. A giant on Earth, due to gravity, and gravity that hasn't changed. In fact, it probably was worse back then. But the the gravity, if the bigger you are, the slower you can be, is what pretty much scientifically what they say, that your heart has to pump harder. You have to have a bigger heart. And so the bigger the heart is, the more it pumps, and then the slower your movements are too. Now, the if you're young, you have to work a little bit harder, and then you're a bit faster when you're younger. But the older you get, the slower you're going to be, and that's why giant a giant person doesn't live longer. I believe is what they say, and they have harder problems with medical issues and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's funny you brought up gravity because I was just looking this up not too long ago. The most recent significant detectable by satellites for transient change occurred around 2000 and 2006 to 2008 and peaking around 2007. So they had a change in gravity around that time. And then they had let's see, they said that the Earth gravity hasn't changed that much in about a million years. So they don't really give an actual
a
date.
million years, damn.
But I'll be honest with you. Look, man, like I said, you talked about extraterrestrials and you talked
Wait,
about the
wait,
others.
wait. I did forget one thing. If you're born on Mars, if you're a Martian, you actually get to be taller. So that's a good question to ask our friend that talks about Mars. Would Martians be a lot taller? How much taller would you be if you were born on Mars? You'd probably be like 13 feet.
See, I don't want to go into probablys. I want to know the actual answer. So look that up real quick. Just Google it. Google it. I mean, you can find the
while
answer.
you talk about it, I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Here, check out this is the next tab because it's we getting close to an hour now. We got author's note. According to one tradition, Oya survived the flood and fought this battle after the flood. There is a myth of a watcher named Og or Og. I call him Og, surviving the flood. This attempts to answer the question as to where giants such as Goliath came from. Remember, I mentioned Goliath. According to the legend, Noah had mercy on Og, who was found clinging to the ark after the waters had risen and set the ark afloat. You talked about the ark afloat. That's why I was talking about Noah's ark. Og clung to the door of the ark until the waters receded during the flood. Noah fled the giant after the flood was Og over Og or Og went his own way. So now look. So when you think about Noah, Og, one of the giants, clung onto the boat, okay, and survived the flood. So we know giants, or at least some giants survived, or at least one giant survived. We also know that Noah fed that giant. Okay. Now that's in the forbidden books. That's part of the Apocrypha. Those are part of the books that aren't in the Bible. Okay. So when you hear that a giant survived, is that the reason why there's still evil on earth? And a lot of people would say yes, because of that. One of the reasons why God sent the flood in the first place was to get the wickedness from this earth. Humans were doing things that was wicked.
I mean, were babies inherently evil? Is that what they're trying to say? Or babies are not born evil?
I mean, I'm not going to get into that. That's a touchy subject for some people, so I'm not even going to get into that.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to say, is that people are teaching children to be evil. They're not born evil. It's just the evil that they're growing up.
Like I said, I'm not jumping on that subject, bro. That's a touchy subject.
But anyway, with that said, I have the answer to your question. A human born and raised on Mars would likely grow to be about 2 to 3 inches every year as from birth to through childhood, 1, 2, 3, 10 years of age. Then they would have been on Earth. Some extreme estimates from space biology experts suggest a maximum increase of up to 12 inches after generational structure adaptation. However, they would not become 15-foot giants. This is because height is primarily dictated by your genetics, DNA blueprints, and nutrition building blocks. Gravity does not create new bone tissue, it simply changes how your existing skeletal structure compresses and expands. So that answers your question in combination with the genetics and DNA. So we would have to manipulate our DNA to become giants.
So here, I want to read this part right here, the Manichaean version of the Book of Giants. I forgot about this. The 200 demons descended to earth. So you remember when I talked about angels and demons can be angels? Well, depending on the source that you read, text that you read, you'll read either 200 demons descended to earth or 200 watchers descended to earth, or even, because we already did the Fallen Angels book also that I had with Elizabeth Clare. Or I think I did that a while ago. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But anyway, you will read 200 fallen angels. So that's how you get a lot of the similarities. You get fragments of the Book of Giants were written in Kawan, Kawan, which is a Middle Persia language. So we do have Persian languages that talk about the Book of Giants. It's not just one group of people. That's why I said that whole area has their own Book of Giants, and they have their own words fitting for whatever is necessary for their narrative. The Book of Enoch was once cherished by Jews and Christians alike. It is read in a certain Coptic Christian churches in Ethiopia. 3 versions of the Book of Enoch exist today. We already went into that, but he talks about the Book of Enoch in here, just to give you a basic synopsis of what to read if you haven't read that book. But if you're going to get this book, you're definitely going to go and get this. Now look at this is what is interesting. I'm going to read this part, and I'm going to read just some things so that you can understand what this means. It is hard to avoid the evidence that Jesus not only studied the book, but also respected it highly enough to know its doctrine and content. Okay, so we know that Jesus studied from the Book of Enoch. Enoch is replete with mentions of the coming kingdom and other holy themes. It was not only Jesus who used phrases or ideas from Enoch. There are over 100 comments in the New Testament which find precedence in the Book of Enoch, meaning that you can find a lot of the Book of Enoch ideas in the New Testament. As we begin looking for connections between the words of the about Jesus and those of Enoch, we cannot look for exact matches. It is possible that was originally spoken by these men was very close in wording or exact meaning, but after divergent paths of transmission and translations through various languages and cultures, they arrive here in the 21st century with many alterations. Like the child's game of telephone, exact wording has been somewhat altered. Let us look at general ideas within passages. So he gives right here. This is why I tell people you got to read the sources for yourself. He gives right here that compares let's see. Let me see. There we go. He compares Jesus and what Enoch says, basically saying how Jesus was learned from, stuff what Enoch had, right? Here we go. Matthew 5:5. Jesus says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." Enoch says, "And all the elect shall rejoice, and there shall be forgiveness of sins and mercy and peace and forbearance and joy. There shall be salvation for them, like and a good like." And then it says Enoch 5:7. So that's just one example of it. I'm not going to go into the whole list of them. Other evidence of early Christians' acceptance of the Book of Enoch was for many years buried under the King James Bible's translations of Luke 9:35, describing the transfiguration of Christ. And there came a voice out of the cloud saying, "This is my beloved son, hear him." Apparently, the translator here wished to make the verse agree with a similar verse in Matthew and Mark, but Luke's verse in the original Greek reads, "This is my son, the elect one," from the Greek ho ekalagmenos, let the elect one hear me or hear him. So they basically he says right here, because of the mistranslation on Luke 9:35, the wording of how God describes who Jesus is and who he's going to be, the wording is different. When he says mistranslation, it says, "And there came a voice out the cloud saying, 'This is my beloved son, hear him.'" Apparently, the translator wished to make the verse agree with a similar verse in Matthew and Mark. But he says the Greek actually reads, "This is my son, the elect one." Okay, that "this is my son" is no different than "this is my beloved son." And then it says the elect one, and then it says "hear him" for one, and it says "elect one." Okay, so when you elect somebody, what do? You tell everybody to hear you out, listen to it. I elect this person to speak, hear him. So that, to me, that I don't even see how that's a mistranslation. I just see that people said it two different ways. They describe, hey, it two different ways, but it basically means the same thing to me, and both of that. So that's one of the things that I say when I read books. When people say stuff like this is a mistranslation, I don't see it as a mistranslation. It's just a different way they described it. It's not a mistranslation. You don't even know what they really said because you don't actually know what these words mean. Because when you look at these words, it doesn't just mean one thing. It means like 10 to 15 things. A lot of these words meant different things. It just depended on the context. And then, just like he said, it was a lot of the fragments is what? Broken up. So
yeah, it's all broken up.
Yeah. So here we go. The Ethiopian Coptic Church holds the Book of Enoch as part of its official spiritual canon. It was widely known and read the first 3 centuries after Christ. This and many other books became discredited after the Council of Laodicea, and being under the ban of authorities, it gradually disappeared from circulation. A lot of people would tell you the Council of Nicaea is the one. A lot of people would say that stopped a lot of this stuff, but they don't know about Laodicea. So knowledge is power when it comes up to that. So let's go to the next tab. Let's see. We almost done too. We got about 10 more tabs. So we'll probably be done in the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah, I wanted to bring something else up, but go ahead and finish up right there.
No, go ahead.
I was reading earlier about the idea that, on the flip side, with my degree in social science, and it's the psychology that we never even think about. And I'm always bringing about the perspective. And some people here, they always want to hear a different perspective on our reality. And we always want to hear about, do giants exist? But then again, what if we're the giants? Nobody ever thinks about that. Because we're the majority of the earth. We have succeeded. We are how many of us are on this earth now? We're 8 billion right now. So it would be most likely that we have killed off all of what is shorter than us. Like we have destroyed anything that was 3 foot back in the day, and that would have been normal size if you were to think about it. And so they have discovered hobbits, like Homo florensis. They have dug up real live human size, like look like us, but like smaller humans. Not like the little people that you see today that are just hobbling around going la la la. I'm sorry to make fun of but I don't.
No, I didn't laugh at that. I'll tell you why I laughed. It's funny because you're an archaeologist, so I'm about to step in your lane. You should know about the pygmy people. The pygmy people are literally people.
No, that's smaller. That's smaller.
But that's
smaller
my point. That's my point. Is that you said, what if we are the giants? Well, if you have a 3 foot person standing next to you, they're going to look at you as a giant.
Yeah,
now, imagine them looking at somebody.
We would be massive.
Looking and compare that.
What if we adopted all their religions, all their texts, all their books? We dug them all up, and we incorporated all their history as our own, like as a prize. Like it became our history and
See,
say, this is
that's what ifs.
ours.
That's see, you get into the what ifs. I don't.
Oh
I go
yeah.
off
I
of what the
mean,
action, because like I said, the reason why I don't go into the what ifs is because you can go with any scenario that you think of.
well,
Look
I'm
at
just
what
saying,
look at
because we don't know, we really don't know much of
we do know.
anything of
We
our
do know.
history.
You know, we do know. There, you know
Yeah,
how many books there are?
because
No, hear
yes,
me out.
yeah, but
Hear me out. This is a very
we're pulling from texts and books. But what if these texts and books come from these 3-foot hobbits,
that's the thing. It doesn't come just from one place. That's
not
what
from
people want
humans?
to play. What is see, this is the thing. You say not from humans. Okay.
From us, from the giants. I mean, I just
See,
want people to see a different perspective from it,
but you got
like
to
the
go with the
possibility.
sources. You got to go with the sources. Possibilities can mean anything. Can people be ant people? Is there a possibility that there were
I
people
don't
that
know
were
about
ant
ant
people?
people.
Well,
Yeah,
there's text. There's
I'm
text
still
out there.
working on that.
This is my thing. This is what I'm trying to incorporate that I want people to do. We go too much with what ifs instead of following what the actual text say and following the breadcrumbs of the text. People go with the what ifs. Okay? And that puts you in rabbit holes that you don't need to be in, because we know where we get the Book of Giants from. We know where it's first written down at. Okay. The first traditional oral story, we don't know. We know that there are pygmy people out there. You can find pygmy people DNA all around the world. In Egypt, Mesopotamia, the Americas, you know,
Yeah, finding a
Australia.
baseline, that's the key.
Finding the baseline is going with the DNA. And we have the DNA. People don't want to follow it.
No.
That's why when we talk about tridactyls, until I get the full-fledged DNA of what it is, I can't come up with
that's
that's
an anomaly altogether on its own. That's
but
like
I'm just saying is that
yeah.
In order for me to sit, I don't go what ifs. What ifs doesn't lead me. Because if I could say, okay, what if giants were aliens? Now I got to read everything about aliens and giants. But what text actually says that they were aliens that came from tech? Where did that actual idea come from? You can, when you read a lot of these books, and I hate to say it like this, like I have, you will see that there's a baseline where everybody gets their information from. There's one particular person for all that stuff. When it comes to the Sumerians, there's one particular person that a lot of people would talk about.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the
everything about Sumerians. So.
When it comes to the Mesoamericans, when it comes to America's period, all you have really is the Codex and the Popol Vuh, and the codexes are mostly pictures, all pictures. So anybody can come up with an idea of what the hell they were trying to say in that.
You got a lot of people that are translating in there, and how many civilizations have translated the Sumerian text, like in their own way? I mean, is there different ways of translating it, and have they translated in different languages?
They talk about giants too, but they're not a lot of people, when they see giants, they look at the depictions. When they'll look at the Mesopotamians and say, see, this person's sitting on a throne and he's much bigger and taller than somebody smaller. What that just means that you can separate who's in charge and who's not. Who's the bigger person, who is the little person in the scheme of things. I always say, like, the hardest thing that it took me a long time to do this. Stop going with the what ifs. I'm going down rabbit holes that I don't need to. I'm literally going down rabbit holes. When you say aliens and giants and stuff like that, I'm like, well, I know from everything that I've read that they weren't no taller than 3 or 4 feet tall. So why in the hell would I go through a rabbit hole of aliens being giants when everything that I've read, from Dolores Cannon to William Bramley, Donald Kehoe,
the people who wrote the Bible, did they already determine their size? Like, did they write?
I just went over that.
My size is 5 foot.
Remember when I said they said Goliath was 6 foot, 6 cubits in the span?
But did they write what their size was?
Yeah, no, they didn't write down like David being less than that, but they just described. Well,
They
I
don't
mean, it
describe
depends. Well, it
themselves.
depends. This is the thing. You said Bible. When I think of the word Bible, I don't think of the word Bible
Oh
like you
no,
do.
I know. I mean, yeah, the Bible didn't exist back then. I'm saying,
No, I'm not talking
but
about that.
did
I'm talking
human
about
beings describe themselves? They described Goliath, but did they describe themselves?
some of
Their
them did, but not in the
size?
Bible itself. So the Bible has different books. You have 66 books all the way up to 88 books, and it's different from the Judaism.
You know
Uh,
how
and
our parents would line put ourselves on the back of a and kind of like put a little line.
Mhm.
My mom did that at the house, and she would just measure my height and then and I said, "What height am I?" And then she'll just put a line and say, "Well, this is your height," and then she'll put it like a measuring tape and say, "Oh,
Mhm.
you're 3 feet now. That was when you were in, and when was that?" And I would ask, and she would say, "That was back in this time. That's that year and all that." And then that was the coolest thing ever. And I would grow up in that apartment, and then grow up, and then we had to move, and I had to start all over again.
No, I remember them days. I'm just they never gave a specific height on who they were. I will say this, like I said, when it comes to the height of when we look at the King James version or these other books, it's anywhere from 4 to 6 cubits in a span, and that falls well into normal. Well, I'm not going to say normal human range, but range where we can say, okay, that's close enough to us. The next two tabs that I want to talk about is about visions, which I've already talked about. There's two tabs on
But
here.
let's make it clear. They compared Goliath with a building, right?
No. Enoch, the book of Enoch, compare their giants to the size of a building. They said like three
Okay.
L's or something like that. I can't remember
Just
the
to
exact words.
clarify, I just wanted to clarify that's
Yeah.
for the viewers so they understand what
Yeah, the book of
Goliath
Enoch, the author of this book, the book of Giants, and the book of Enoch, the author Joseph Lumpkin, he describes, which I already did a live on it. We did a live on it, I think last week sometime. If you go to it and watch that, I actually explain how tall the book of Giants. I think it's like within the first 10 minutes. So if you don't want to watch the first hour, it's like the first 10 minutes because it's in the early beginning of the book of the description. But the next two tabs on this book is about visions, which I actually talked about in the book
But they
of
didn't
Enoch
compare
also.
it to a Noompa Loompa though, right?
Giants, no.
I'm just hey, I'm just giving hey, I'm sorry. I don't want to make fun of anybody, all right? I'm sorry. All right. So I love you guys. Just love you guys.
No, but these next, like I said,
I'm not making fun of the
damn,
little
bro. I'm
people.
trying to say these two tabs, man. You keep cutting me off when I say these two tabs. Say what you gotta say, people. Man.
Go ahead.
No, go say
ahead.
what you said.
No, finish the tabs. I'm interested. I'm really interested.
You keep talking about these people, you're gonna get us shut down, man. You can't be doing that to people, man.
I love them. I love little people.
And I had it and these two tabs I was saying from the book of Enoch is the visions. When we're talking about the visions, that what I said was in the imaginary. It's not about with your two eyes. So yeah, that's what I was trying to say with the last 5 minutes that you kept cutting me off talking about these people. Talk about those people some more, man.
No, we're not going to talk about. No, don't say.
I'm not trying to get you from saying that, and you keep trying to edge towards them. I'm like, why you keep doing it?
I'm trying to give them work, man, because they keep bringing up because they put AI and now they're using AI to put them in movies and stuff like that, and then they're losing work.
With any of that?
Well, I mean, it's the opposite end of giants. So, it's kind of like little people, and then you got giants, and you got
you throwing me off, bro.
I know. That's why I told you go ahead and finish with your tabs.
No, you throwing me off because you're talking about AI. What AI got to do with giants and little people now?
Well, it's the opposite, Okay,
I don't get what you're
go
saying.
ahead, do the tabs.
I'm curious because you wanted to talk about it. I'm curious about why you said that.
Well, because it's the DNA of I mean, there's always when you talk about little people, the existence of little people, and I mean, it's the opposite end of the spectrum, the existence, okay, so little,
just spit it out, man.
If you have giants on Earth, you would assume that little people wouldn't exist. I mean, my thought is that if we have giants on Earth, everybody would be giants, and there would be no little people. Why would there be so
Why would
many?
you think that though?
There would be so many. Why is there little people? And the genetics of little people, if giants existed, we would all be giants. Like we would, like if giants had giant babies, then everybody would be giants. That's why my brain is thinking.
But you're an archaeologist, bro. You're an archaeologist, and you're big on tridactyls. So how could you say that? When
I'm thinking like a little person. The little person is like thinking the same thing. It's why did I end up as a little person? I should have been a giant too. You know,
that's part of the problem is that you're going off what other people think instead of what you think and what you know. You're using what other people say, and it doesn't make sense. I'm being honest with you. It doesn't make sense. And that's why I'm trying to get people to understand, to stop using what other people say and just go off of what you know, what you've researched. Because when you go through these rabbit holes, you're making yourself go crazy trying to figure out it. And all you have to do is just follow the basics.
I mean, you know.
You said DNA. Okay, so let's look at it like this. You're an archaeologist. This is your field.
No, I'm an anthropologist, not an archaeologist.
Anthropologist. That's even worse.
Yeah, I deal with social sciences, not archaeology.
You know that there is different species of humans throughout humanity. There hasn't just been one group of people. That's that whole my genes are better than your genes type thing. And I'm not going to go into what that really means, but that's basically what you just basically said. There can't be a group of different people. Why do you think that those little people would want to be the same size as you? You think they're not happy of who they are? I know people who are 5'8", 9.
I'm not saying they're not happy. I mean,
You said that when you said that
the cards are dealt with. They were dealt these cards. What are they going to be unhappy? They're going to go through.
What cards have they been dealt with, though?
I mean, you have to be happy. You can't just be unhappy. You know, he's like,
but that's what you said.
I have to be happy. I have to be positive. This is the way things have to be. I mean, what are they going to be unhappy and then change? They're going to change their whole life.
But that's what you said. That's what you said.
This is the way life is.
You're asking me. It's
like Mandalorian. This is the way.
Listen. You're asking me a question of something that you said. I can't answer it because you said it. I don't think like you. You said that stuff. You said that they probably would have wished that they should have been taller or a giant also. So that's why I'm asking you, why do you think
the psychology of it is like, if they were thinking about giants, if giants existed,
who's they?
Everyone ever in history, if giants existed in the past 3,000, 4,000 years ago, it trickles down. Let's say, for instance, there was only like a million human beings that existed on Earth, because it wasn't like 9 billion people. I mean, it's like less than 1 billion people existed on Earth, you know? And then of course, if a lot of giants existed back then
we already have the number of giants. Do you remember the number that I said?
And if they were having children.
No, before you started, before you said, because you said if there was a lot. We already have a number of watchers / giants. Yeah. Because remember, I said some people say that they're one and the same. Some people say Joseph Lumpkin was described them differently. Then they would say they're the same because they intermingled. The watchers intermingled with humans, and they bear giants. So my point is that you keep saying what ifs.
What ifs? I'm just talking about genetics. I'm talking about DNA. I'm talking about.
But you said, like, what if with the genetics? The genetics show that there has been a different group of size of people.
Why not everybody are giants today?
So let me ask you this: why doesn't everybody look like you right now today if genetics is supposed to be the same?
Well, why am I not a giant? Am I a giant? Am I already a giant, or is this as big as I get?
The questions you're asking, how do you answer that? Are you just going to,
I mean,
that's why I want you to answer it. Answer it now. What do you think? Answer that now, because this is how a lot of people think. You said that this is what you said you're good for the show for, right? That you bring in questions what other people say. So what do you think a giant, you described what a giant is. So do you fit that category?
I mean, if giants existed back in the past, and if they were intermingling with humans, then the majority of humans today, or a percentage of the majority of humans today, should have the giant DNA. That's what my thinking is. That's why I brought that up. And so, if there's little people today, then they're probably thinking, well, I was dealt this hand. Why am I not like a giant too? It's like that's what I was thinking. It
So
was
those,
thrown into
so
that.
while you're thinking that, look those answers up. Don't let those questions float, because I don't have the answer for that. And you're asking the audience, no, and the audience is not in. They're not communicating. They're not in the comments. So your best bet as a person, if you have a question, ask it. Is there a way to find a type of DNA strand that mimics giants?
Well, we could think of a couple of people that are huge.
Look those questions you have right now. Look those up so we can have those answers, because I don't like to have open questions for anything. That's why I don't go down what ifs, because when you go down what ifs, I like to fill in those what ifs. We have, just like you said we're dumber these days. I say people are lazy these days, because as fast as they ask these questions is as fast as you can type these in the ChatGPT, Grok, or any Google search engine and get the answers and see what it says. And now you have the answer. You no longer have that question lingering in the air and you're wondering. Now, if you ask that same question after you get your answer, then the person that's answering that question and got the answer is just being ignorant at that time.
It says there's 150 people carry the exact mutated gene compared to just 1 in 2,000 people in the rest. It says
so you got
UK.
your answer. So you got your answer, right? You basically got your answer, right? That there is a genetic DNA strand that shows some type of way of people being
out
a giant,
of 8
right?
billion people on Earth.
Right? Mm-hmm. You got your answer. So there is a way to identify if somebody holds the genetic line of a giant, right? Yes or no?
A giantism is what I asked. Yeah.
Well, now, and that's why I asked you earlier, what do you consider a giant? I said anywhere from 4 to 6 cubit spans, which is anywhere from 6. Some people actually say 5, so we'll go down to 5 foot.
They're saying 7 foot.
9 feet. They're saying 7 foot.
Yeah.
So you got your answer. You see how easy that was to get your answer? You asked these questions and you went on about it and you went on about it, and all you have to do is just type that question into anything and just get it. Saying what if, you put yourself down rabbit holes that you don't even have to start digging. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do is type it in and figure it out. And then you know what you do on top of that? Did you type in peer-reviewed article?
No, I didn't.
Type in peer-reviewed article and see if they have a peer-reviewed article. Because that's the next step. Because guess what those college graduates and those scholars and those PhDs and masters and all those people are going to say? Well, tell me a peer-reviewed article. Well, I got one for you. Here you go. Now you're more informed. Now let's get back to the subject of the Book of Giants. And that's when I would be like, yeah, let's do that.
It's a little complicated there. 1,500 to 2,500 years ago.
Do they have one at all? Do they have a peer-reviewed article?
It talks about Northern Ireland.
I just want to know, do they have a peer-reviewed article on Giants?
They have a couple of them. They have.
That's it. That's all you need.
There's
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm telling people is that, first of all, what does the actual text say? What the actual words mean? And you're going to have to dig through all that what ifs and asking all these questions. If somebody doesn't have the answer, what you going to do? Just wait till somebody gives you the answer? No, find that answer yourself.
They talk about the medical problems of giantism.
And you can take all that information and understand why certain people couldn't be that tall back then.
It's a pituitary dominance. It's like the pituitary gland in cancerous research.
Well, whatever the reason is, the point is that they give you a description of why these individuals couldn't be that and why we're this height, why we're around this height. Okay, somebody saying somebody was 8 foot tall could have actually been 7 foot tall. Okay, People get things mixed up. People had different measurements back then. I've explained that in the past. Another tab that I want to go over is talking about, and I went from there to the middle of the earth. This is the same thing as what I talked about in the book of Enoch. And I saw a blessed place in which there were trees with branches olive and blooming on a tree that had cut down. So we also know that the book of Giants, this one right here, this translation, this copy from Joseph Lunkins, has a description of Middle Earth. So we have that. Other theories regarding this verse have been put forward by those who believe will God consent to angels that they may finally freely mix with people. This seems unlikely given the previous reaction. Lastly, those involved with the UFO studies point to this verse as an indication of contact. So this is the verse that UFO fanatics like to say that has something to do with UFOs and the Bible and so on and so forth. So it's Revelation 21. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the flat earth, on the first earth, I'm sorry, had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, beautifully dressed for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, now the dwelling of God is with men and will live with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. He who was seated on the throne said, I am making everything new. Then he said, write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true. So this was in Revelation. I just want to verify something before I say it, because I actually wrote this down. I wrote this down in I think on X somewhere. I got to see if
they believe that God is an alien, huh?
Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to make sure. So yeah. So Revelation in the Bible is presented as a vision. I just wanted to make that, just wanted to make sure that was I want to check something real quick. So what was it? Yeah.
So religious people believe there's only one God. And then there's the UFO fanatics.
It depends on
there's multiple gods.
It depends on what religion you talk about. Most Christians that I've come to that are actually knowledgeable on the subject and who are in their feelings, they actually say they feel more like the Abrahamic faith itself is henotheism, but Christianity itself is monotheistic. They say Abrahamic is more henotheism because of the simple fact that it's known he knows of multiple gods. It's even in the Bible, jealous God and this, that, and the third. But Revelations, I wanted to say, was more of a it's a vision. So when I talked about visions and stuff being in the imaginary, when people say when he talks about, and I've heard people say this a lot too about Revelation 21. Those who involved with this UFO studies, when they start quoting certain parts of the Bible, and I know about Revelation being a vision, I'm just like, you do realize that this is an imaginary, right? This is not a good defense for you to argue on. Going there talking about, certain parts in the Bible and not understanding that this was a visionary type thing, not something that was seen with the two eyes, but like in meditative or some sort of something like that. That's what it was. So I try to keep that. I try to tell people off that. We talked a lot of this stuff that's in this book. We talked about in the book of Enoch already. It's pretty. He puts a lot of this stuff. What's so interesting to me is that it's almost the same exact information. I don't know what the difference is. I really haven't picked out the differences in this book. Like if I was to buy this book and not read the book of Enoch, the other version that I had, the 3 versions, I would have been well aware, because this one uses
well, you read a lot, so you have more knowledge than the person that initially reads this book. Other books before you read this book. You have more knowledge than most people that have, so you understand what this book is about.
Yeah, it's really, it has a lot of great information. Like it talks about the antediluvian. When I talked about, I think I talked about this before, where it says antediluvian ice age to 16,000 BC. And then it talks about Moses' time, which was 2000 BC to 1400 BC. Abraham's time was 10,000 to 2000 BC. Now, this is what's interesting to me. It says the 10 weeks of judgment. It gives a whole like little. Here, I'll just bring it up because
Does this book explain in detail what each thing is about on its own, or do you have to have that knowledge
no, you
before
have to
you
have
read
your
this book?
knowledge. That's why I said
Yeah.
earlier.
So
That's why I
this
was
is going to
saying
be a
earlier.
difficult book to read unless you have that knowledge.
No, it's not. It's not difficult to read. Because I'm done going over the tabs. Because like I said, most of the stuff that we went over already, we went over the Book of Enoch. This book is not hard to read. First of all, a lot of people don't understand that. First, you in order to read to understand this book, you have to know what the Strong's Concordance is. You have to know what the Septuagint is. You have to know what the Book of Enoch is. You have to know what it's about, what the representations. When I talked about the dates earlier, I don't like to get into the dates because everybody has their own dates. Literally, they have a roundabout time frame, which I can give you, but they have their own give or take. Sometimes I can give you the academic time frame, and some people would say no, it happened like 600-700 years before that. I give you a perfect example. When we talk about the pyramids, when you was talking about the pyramids earlier, people would date the pyramids much older than what it is now. Academically, we know what the pyramids are dated as. I can go off and tell you the dates for that, but then I can give you like 10 other dates that I've read from other people because of different things. So what I like to do is like, that's one of the things that I harp on you about is when I give you these books to read and or to research about,
I try to be an apprentice, bro, but I'm not even at that level yet. I don't have the tools like you do.
No, this is the thing. This is what I try to tell a lot of people. You don't have to read every single book. There's only certain books that you need to read, and you have to read the translations. But when you ask what ifs, and I told you this before, I even told Ed this, when you say what ifs, you're making up a narrative. You're making up an idea. Okay. You're putting that idea in my head doesn't help you or me. What helps you is taking what you think and typing it in Grok, ChatGPT, Google, asking it certain questions. You got to learn how to navigate. A lot of people, like you even said, you said that
that's what everybody does on when they're in X. They travel on their phones and they go through all on each of their texts. They go through those memes and they just type whatever they want, right? They just go by what ifs.
No, I think a lot of people today, most of the content creators, for one, they do it for money.
They feed off of that, right?
No, I think it's all money. I kind of agree with you on that. Yeah, they feed on people's ignorance and laziness. You're retired. You don't have much to do. You don't have to go to work. You don't have to do nothing.
Toilet.
You have enough time to read some of these sources, right? But you won't because it's not really of an interest of you. You have questions, but those questions aren't deep enough for you to go research and get these books. These tabs that I have on this book right here, I'm going to bring it up. These tabs that I have on this book is literally, it's not everything that we went over because like I said, a lot of those tabs has me having to read the chapter. Like I'm about to take this book and read it in the next 30 minutes, go over all these tabs and read certain chapters that I missed because I take 30
That's why minutes. I love being on this podcast with you because you have all this knowledge and understanding and you here to impart and present this knowledge to everybody. Sure. And this is wild. I mean, the information that you give out to everybody is spot on. And if nobody ever listens to you or even leaves this podcast feeling like they don't have any knowledge at all is crazy. Like they should listen and hear what you have to say. If they don't leave this podcast with education in any way, they weren't listening at all in the first place. And I
Yeah,
appreciate everybody, every viewer, every listener on this podcast for helping out and listening to us and supporting us, because I tell you what, Rebirth of the Word is legit, 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 amazing on his research and on the facts. So I have to applaud. Thank you so much, Rebirth, man.
thanks, bro. I appreciate
You're
that.
amazing. You're
I
amazing.
appreciate
And
that.
I would never, ever, ever come onto this podcast if he wasn't legit. So truly, truly, I am in awe. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Bro, this is what I wanted to show you. So this is where you see you see the back of. So I'm
Yes.
about to read what it says in the back because this is the important part. I saved this for the last part for this reason.
Mhm.
Remember how I talked about it's hard and it's hard for me to describe dates and stuff like that, right? Because everybody has their own dates for things, right? And then everybody has their own titles for these types of texts, right? When we talk about the Enuma Elish, the Book of Giants, the Book of Enoch, so on and so forth, the author sometimes implements their own title, and then it comes a Rolling Stone. So on the back of this, when I was talking about time frames of the Book of Enoch, the book, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and all this, I'm going to tell you so I've already went over the Dead Sea Scrolls. Some of the Dead Sea Scrolls has some of what the Book of Enoch has in it, and it's less like you can see like the similarities between each other and stuff like that. So this is what it says on
So the Dead Sea Scrolls connected with Enoch.
the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is why I say it's so confusing to me, and this is why a lot of people argue about stuff that I tell them that they're arguing about the wrong thing. I'm going to read what it says on the back of this. It says, among the first 7 scrolls discovered in the caves of Qumran at the Dead Sea is a scroll given the name the Book of Giants. So one of the Dead Sea Scrolls found in those mountains was called the Book of Giants. So the Book of Giants is actually one part of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So when you read the Dead Sea Scrolls is not just one book. It's many books that made it up. Okay. It is thought to have been based on the Book of Enoch. You hear me? The Book of Giants, it is thought to have been based on the Book of Enoch. You see how the Book of Enoch, the Book of Giants has a similarity with each other.
One in the same.
Then you got the Dead Sea Scrolls. The dates are very close to each other, give or take. I mean, I don't know
Wow.
how
Mind blown. Wow.
Yeah. And then you got it's a picographical Jewish work from the 3rd century BCE. So it comes around the third. It says work from the 3rd century BCE. So that can be any time in that time frame, or even be in the 2nd BC time frame. The Book of Giants, like the Book of Enoch, concerns itself with the Nephilim, which are the offspring of the fallen angels who are called the Watchers. Remember how I said earlier, the Watchers and the fallen angels are one and the same. But now you can replace the Watchers, demons, and fallen angels under that same category, because there's certain, we just went over how there's a certain text. What was it? The Manichaean text that said the 200 demons descended. Then it goes on to say 2 main versions of the text exist. 2 main versions of the text exist. This Dead Sea version is written in Aramaic. Remember how I talked about how the Bible is written in Aramaic and Hebrew. Another version has been found written in Middle Persian, adapted from the Aramaic to fit into the Manichaean religion. Both versions will be examined. So that one that says the 200 demons instead of the 200 watchers or the 200 fallen angels. You see what I'm saying? This right here is, I tell people it's hard because you putting dates on stuff. When you say the Book of Giants, I'm gonna be like, well, which Book of Giants are you talking about now? Are you talking about this one or are you talking about that one? Which date frame? You know what I'm saying? So what I like to tell people is always go get the book for yourself, read it. When it comes to giants, you said earlier before we started, you don't think giants came from Earth. Everything points to them being from Earth. We have no text right now that actually says anything extraterrestrial about this. I know they talk about
How about
heavens.
if it alludes to it?
I don't even think it alludes to it.
I mean,
Only
how can you say that? Maybe what's normal to us is actually.
because I know, like you said earlier,
I mean, we
scientifically,
talk about stars, we talk about the moon,
yeah.
but all that could be extraterrestrial.
Well, it is. It's not.
Astronomy.
It's not. It's not a question whether they're extraterrestrial or not. I know the sun and the moon and the stars is extraterrestrial. You know how I know that? Because etymologically, if you look up that word,
I mean,
extraterrestrial,
back then they didn't fly. We didn't have flying
but
saucers
that's
back
not the
then.
thing. Extraterrestrial, all it ever meant was anything outside of Earth's atmosphere. It never meant anything about flying. It never meant
I
anything
mean,
about
we
species.
looked up into the stars to
Yeah,
look
I'll
for
bring it up for you.
direction and stuff like
Look,
that.
I'll bring it up for you. This is why I like.
To travel, to go to certain directions, we use the stars, but not all the time we can use the stars because there were cloud covers everywhere, right?
Well, there's this.
Did we wait for the clouds to disappear so we could travel?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, we do that today. I mean, you was in the Air Force, bro. I was in aviation and Army. Helicopters, aircraft don't take off if there's
I
any
had
cloud out
to.
there.
Yeah, we would
So
have to wait. I mean,
you
if
would have
we
to
were
wait till the
stuck
cloud.
out,
Yeah, until
yeah.
you would have to wait until the weather permits.
Yeah, well, I
You have to
mean,
get
I
to
had a compass.
So, but
How old is the compass? I mean, did they have compasses all the way back then, or is that fairly new? That's the question I have to ask myself. I mean, I always had a
they have
compass.
always had compasses. Not in the sense of probably what we have right now.
Did magnets always existed? I mean, magnetic rocks always existed.
Here, I want to bring up extraterrestrial. So this is important. So when we talk about extraterrestrial, it's very important to use the words that are available. Terrestrial, of or pertaining to the Earth, is terrestrial, right? Extraterrestrial, occurring or originating outside of. I hate these commercials. Outside the Earth. Okay. So you have anything that's outside of the Earth is extraterrestrial. Anything that's on Earth is terrestrial.
Okay.
So the sun, the moon, the stars, comets, all that is extraterrestrial. So, but terrestrial is on Earth. Now, until we get something that actually says, hey, these are outside of Earth, they came outside of Earth's atmosphere, the reason why I say the Book of Giants and the Book of Enoch doesn't allude to anything outside of Earth, because whenever they describe anything that could be like flying or a UFO or an orb or something like that, it's all in a meditative visionary state.
They always say that they come from heaven.
But it's always in a visionary state. The only one I can say is not one was when they let Moses and all the people out of Egypt when they had to follow the light pillar, but that could just been a star. That could have been just the moon. I mean, look, man, I'm telling you, when it comes to the sun, the stars, I've read so many books from so many UFOologists, so many different people who are out there. Donald Keyhoe is one of the most famous people who actually started this whole
everything
idea.
is a vision, pretty much.
No, we're about to go. Matter of fact, I think we're going over his book next, one of the UFO books next. But what I wanted to
next
say,
week.
No, we're gonna do it this week. We'll probably do it
this week.
Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll probably do it Thursday or Friday.
You heard that, everybody. Tune in for Thursday.
Thursday or Friday. I'm gonna do I want to do at least 2 a week now. But
so if you guys ever had a vision or a dream, tune in for this Thursday or Friday.
No, not this one. Not the dreams or visions. This one is a UFO. So the next book that I'm going to go over.
Still, we want to hear about from other people. visions and dreams. That's amazing, bro. I want to hear about people's vision and dreams. I don't.
Yeah, we'll get on that topic.
I love it. I want to hear it.
The next book. Where is it? Man, I did.
You know what? What if visions and dreams are just one and the same?
Okay, yeah, here we go. So the next book that we're doing is the Flying Saucers Are Real by Donald Keyhoe. So Donald Keyhoe is actually the guy who started this whole idea of conspiracy ideas of ufology. He is the go-to guy if you want to understand how ufology started with the government. He is the go-to guy. That's why I say that when it comes to sources, if you haven't read the individuals involved, if you're in ufology, if you like UFOs and aliens and extraterrestrials and you don't know who Donald Kehoe is, and you're really seriously trying to make people believe stuff, I'm telling you right now, if you haven't read Donald Kehoe, then you have no idea what you're talking about. Because he is the one that actually started this whole thing with like how Louis Elizondo, Greer, and all these other people talk about. He is the reason why for all this. He is the one that was giving out information for all of this. So this one's going to be a good one because a lot of stuff that I talk about is mythologies. You like to talk about extraterrestrial. This is a perfect one right here. So what I recommend now is you look up the flying saucers and look up who Donald Kehoe is, and you'll see. And this is very important because you was in the Air Force. So you may have connects with people who you can talk to who may have stuff in this. This is why I tell people
you would not believe majority of the people that I was with are no longer here on Earth.
Yeah, same
I've been checking up. I don't know why they don't live long, but they're gone, man. People I've served with, and all the 7 I was with in battle, they're gone.
All right, so then, yeah,
they're no longer here
rest
with
in
us.
Peace to all of them. Yeah, definitely. I have the same thing.
They've lost their lives, or they've taken their lives, and it's crazy, man. It breaks my heart, man. I wasn't there for them, and I had to deal with my own demons, and I wasn't able to help them out. So it's crazy.
Yeah, so that's pretty much I didn't. Oh, that's weird.
But
okay, anyway,
the biggest thing about the whole thing about with giants, and the one thing I wanted to recap about is with angels and demons and all these things. To me, they would be intelligent life forms, right? And if they're so intelligent, and they would be coordinated, right? When you think about it, it's in the social science hemisphere, why would they fight amongst each other, and why would they have aminosity, and why would they be jealous, and that's the thing I would think about. Why are we jealous? And are we to the point, are we that far advanced? And if we're further advanced as a society, as humans, would we not evolve to the point that we would shed our jealousy from our humanity in the future? That's something I would like our listeners to think about. When we advance in our humanity, in our evolution, will we shed our jealousy from ourselves, and will we shed all these emotions from our ability? We won't be alive to see that, of course, but could we become better in dealing with our society, where we won't cause our extinction in the future? So something to think about in our future, and if we ever do get off this rock on Earth and travel to other planets, hopefully.
Right.
By the way, SpaceX will be launching in 30 hours. Their big, huge, monolithic, which is the size of what is it? The size of of a building. That thing is massive. By the way, it's like it's like one of those freaking. It's so huge. It's a tower. It's freaking like 47 stories. The rocket, it's insanely huge. So if you guys want to see that massive rocket launch, it's going to be launching in 30 hours from now. Hopefully they'll be able to successfully do it. They're going to try and refuel 2 rockets together in space so that they can go to the moon. So it's going to be epic. Talking about giants. It's a giant rocket.
So that's about it, everybody. So that's that book. The next book we're doing is
the flying saucers are real. Kehoe probably on Thursday or Friday. And we'll get on that. So bring all your UFO stuff to it. Like I said, anything else you want to say before I close it out?
No, that's it, man. I think the viewers are like, dude, when are you gonna finish? We talked about everything.
Yeah. So all right, like I said,
we appreciate you guys. This is for you, not for us. I hope you enjoyed it.
Word.
Got a little hype now, can I let it die down? I remember days in the trench. Time to go hard in, time to go all in, time to get my all to this shit. Panamera maxed out, first class flights out, Atlantic to Pacific, yeah, it's lit.
Bro.